here today to deliver a message to President Trump. Today is July 26th of the year 2026. As a Venezuelan freelance journalist living in exile for the last 16 years, I have experienced firsthand the different ways of governing the United States of America. Barack Hussein Obama and Joe Biden were both complicit of the dictatorships and tyrannies of the world. They did nothing, absolutely nothing, to help us Venezuelans regain our freedom. We were first kidnapped by this demented criminal of Hugo Chavez, then by the genocidal psychopath of Nicolás Maduro, and now by Delcy Rodriguez. Delcy, which is supposed to be doing whatever Mr. Trump, you and your administration tells her and her goons. We as a nation are extremely grateful for the military operation that captured the terrorist and drug lord of Nicolás Maduro on January 3rd of this year. We celebrated not only in my home country of Venezuela, but also all around the world, where more than 9 million of my compatriots are living because of the detrimental and inhumane conditions of our country. There is no discussion that most of Venezuelans, we love you, Mr. President Trump. You have been a different kind of leader in many ways. Internally, you have worked nonstop to recover the economy of the U.S. from the devastating effects of the illegitimate Biden regime. A regime that violated the U.S. Constitution, the rule of law, and even had hundreds of political prisoners from the MAGA movement, Make America Great Again. Some of them even died in jail. A regime that stole an election in collusion with China, Maduro, Delcy Rodriguez and her brother, Jorge, and many internal enemies of the U.S. like Hillary Clinton and Barack Hussein Obama. We have seen an unusual effort on your part to restore the democratic and conservative leadership of the United States worldwide, a complicated task if we take into account the devastating effects that the administration of the illegitimate Joe Biden left behind. An international leadership that was overshadowed by Obama's faint-hearted policies, such as his approach to the Castro tyranny in Cuba and the consummate betrayal of the American people in conspiracy with Iran. The same happened with Chavez and Maduro under Obama and Biden. They let both of them destroy Venezuela and export drugs, criminals, rapists, and terrorists, not only to the U.S., but also to the whole continent. Additionally, it's important to remember, Mr. President, that they provided the technology and the methodology to cheat and steal elections in many countries around the world with the electoral machines of Dominion software in the US and Smartmatic in Venezuela. And that is why, as you already know, Mr. President, the 2020 election was stolen from the American citizens. Since you assumed power and entered the Oval Office in the White House for the second term, you have been an unconditional friend of the democratic cause for freedom in Venezuela, Cuba, and Iran. You deserve the Nobel Prize, not the other person. Millions of citizens in those three countries, Cuba, Venezuela, and Iran, have been victims of a totalitarian and genocidal regimes that I hope you will finish very soon. Also, that you liberate Cuba and help us Venezuelans regain our democracy with a clean transition, which Delcy Rodriguez and the rest of the Chavistas and Maduro thugs are not in the equation. I want to talk to you right now with all my heart and with the utmost respect, Mr. President, regarding the current situation of my home country, Venezuela. Even though we are immensely grateful to you and your administration, including Secretary of State Marco Rubio, there is a growing dissatisfaction and unhappiness among the Venezuelan people, Mr. President. My compatriots do not see with kind eyes the present strategy of the U.S. partaking and allowing the remaining members of the Maduro genocidal regime to continue to remain in power for such a long time, particularly after the apocalyptic and devastating twin earthquakes of this past June 24th. The economy is not getting better, Mr. President. In fact, most people say that they are poorer and worse than before January 3rd, when Maduro was captured. We still have more than 500 political prisoners, something that we cannot understand due to the fact that the U.S. is supposed to be in control of Venezuela and 𝐷𝐿𝐶 Rodriguez. That is what you, Mr. President and Secretary Rubio, have said many times over. How come after almost 7 months, so many of my people remain in jail? And just to let you know that most of the ones that have been let out of prison are not free at all. They have been given coercive judicial measures, which are illegal and unconstitutional, Mr. President. People are not happy and are getting frustrated by the day. Many of them are blaming you and your administration because of the fact that 𝐷𝐿𝐶 Rodriguez and her interim government are supposed to be under your thumb. They cannot understand why the U.S. is doing business with a criminal that was Maduro's vice president and has been part of the regime since Hugo Chavez took power in 1999. I implore you to walk in their shoes for a minute and have sympathy for my people who have suffered so much, Mr. President, in the last 27 years, almost 3 decades. I know for a fact that there is a team of Venezuelan technocrats ready to step in and replace 𝐷𝐿𝐶 Rodriguez. Your administration worked with them very closely for many months since last year. And you know this, Mr. President. What happened? Why are they in a standby at this moment? Don't you think it's better to work directly with noble, honest, and professional people like the technocrats instead of dealing with genocidal and demented criminals like 𝐷𝐿𝐶 Rodriguez and the rest of the gang? How come United States generals and military personnel and people from your administration have been meeting with a narco-trafficker such as Diosdado Cabello, a drug lord wanted by the United States with a $25 million bounty on his head, Mr. President? These type of anomalies are not well received by my compatriots and seem to be opposed to your policies and statements regarding the rule of law and the sanctity of the judicial system of the United States. Why is your administration not directly involved in the Venezuelan economy right now? We need to dollarize the economy as soon as possible. And that type of radical measurement is a job for the technocrats, not for 𝐷𝐿𝐶 Rodriguez and her criminals goons. Inflation and the devaluation of our currency is killing people literally. We must do something, Mr. President. You must do something to help us. We as a nation cannot comprehend why your administration is seeking to release billions of dollars frozen in international banks to 𝐷𝐿𝐶 Rodriguez with the excuse of rebuilding the country after the twin earthquakes of last month. She's a liar, Mr. President. She's a thief, a criminal with no regard for life and the well-being of the Venezuelan people. Just as her brother and just as Diosdado Cabello also. They are sick people, Mr. President. They are psychopaths who are still in control of Venezuela because of the support of the U.S. There is also a lack of accountability regarding the millions and millions of dollars that the regime is receiving from the USA, World Bank, IMF, UN, among others. That money, Mr. President, is not being used for the benefit of the Venezuelan citizens. This is a fact. They even prohibited rescuers from many countries to enter Venezuela just hours after the twin earthquakes destroyed parts of La Guaira and Caracas. The military and security forces of Delcy Rodriguez intimidated and also detained regular people, journalists, rescuers, who were just helping families in the zones where hundreds of buildings collapsed. And now, going back to the technocrats, if for some reason that I cannot grasp, you don't want to replace Delcy Rodriguez with them, then please substitute her with a general from the U.S. Army. He can be an interim governor who can also work closely with the technocrats if you choose to go that way. The general can lead the interim government like General MacArthur did in Japan after World War II, Mr. President. This is a key point. We are a peaceful and resilient people. We just need an opportunity to rebuild our great country with the right leadership on top, not with Delcy Rodriguez and her goons. We understand very well the three-phase plan of your administration for Venezuela, but we cannot deal any longer with the economy, the abuse of power, the fear, our political prisoners, the inflation, the basic food basket. Mr. President, the image that we have on our minds every day of the U.S. President and his Secretary of State partaking with terrorists and narco-traffickers and criminals, we just cannot do it anymore. People are starting to question your motives, Mr. President, and many of them are beginning to abandon you, even though they were fanatics of the MAGA movement and loved you unconditionally, especially after what you did on January 3rd. Something that I would like to address before the end of this message is the notion that Venezuelans are happy dancing in the streets and that money from the oil business is getting into their pockets. That is not accurate, Mr. President, and people resent those statements made from you in more than one occasion. I urge you to take seriously my statements, my message, and my recommendations. You need, Mr. President, the Latino vote to keep control of the Senate and the lower house, especially in states like Texas and Florida. In some counties, the Venezuelan and Latino vote will be decisive. You know this. I don't want you nor the Republican Party to suffer a defeat because of displeased Hispanic Latino voters. Your legacy, among other accomplishments, should be the complete destruction and eradication of autocratic and communist regimes in the region. Your name, Mr. President, should be written down in history next to Washington, Lincoln, and Ronald Reagan. Your legacy cannot be tarnished by a wrong or late decision regarding my home country of Venezuela. Please, Mr. President, remove Delcy Rodriguez from power and let us begin a free and democratic transition with the technocrats, with this group of Venezuelans that you already know, or with a general from the U.S. Army who can act as an interim governor or president in charge of Venezuela. My countrymen, Mr. President, are in really bad shape. The money from the oil and the help from other countries is not getting into the pocket of the Venezuelan people. We love you, Mr. President Trump. Please do the right thing and remove, as I said before, Delcy Rodriguez from power. Thank you, Mr. President. God bless the United States of America, and God bless my home country of Venezuela.